enough if I can hold on to it. I didn't tell y'all anything about this sweater, did you? It is like Hansel and Gretel and the breadcrumbs, because there are stitch markers all the way down the hall. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa, and this is Melissa Knits for Fun. Guys, the knitting has been fighting back all week again. Sometimes I've won, sometimes the knitting won, and I'll tell you all about it. But first, let me tell you what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Flame Top by Irina Anikeeva, I believe is how you say her name. And I wore it today in honor of the fact that she is having a birthday sale. Apparently, it's her 47th birthday, I'm assuming, because the code is BD47. And she has all of her patterns on discount using that code, and it's not a secret. It's on Instagram. It's on her Ravelry page. And this is the very first thing that I ever knitted for myself as far as a garment. And it is just beautiful. I don't know if I've ever worn it on here before, or if I just showed y'all a picture of the time that I wore it inside out when I was living in Boston. But it is the very first thing that I knitted for myself. I do just love this, and I wear it quite a bit in the summer. And I knitted it in Bas La Jolla, and I don't remember the colorway, and I didn't put all my stuff on Ravelry back then. Yeah, I just don't remember the colorway name, but I loved it. I found this colorway and just fell in love because of the pinks and the oranges, etc. So you should go check out her designs, because she really does have some stunning designs, and they're on sale right now. All right, guys, the trials and tribulations have been real this week of the knitting style. Oh my goodness. I've had a little bit of knitting mishap with my test knit again. I've had a little bit of knitting mishap with one of my knit-alongs. And so first I'm going to start out with my test knits, but I'm going to start out with the one that has just been going swimmingly and have had no problems with. But guys, I'm telling you, I've had some significant knitting progress this week, and I've made all of my knitting goals that I set for myself, which I didn't share with y'all last week, and I should have, and I will share at the end of this podcast, of this episode, I'll share with you what my knitting goals are for this next week. So as you know, I've told you I'm part of 3 test knits, 3 knit-alongs, and then I'm doing some gift knitting. So I'm going to start out with the Fosteriana by Melanie Rountree. This is one of the test knits, and it's the one I've had no problems with at all. This is the 3rd time I'm test knitting for Melanie, so that could be part of it. I'm very used to her pattern writing style, and so I have no problems following along. Well, my goal last week was to get this, and I told y'all I'd have it joined in the round with no problem. My goal was to get this joined in the round. I have gotten it joined in the round, as you can see. And I've almost finished all of the bust increases. For my size, you join it in the round, and then you make more increases. There's 24 stitches, I think, that get increased for the bust, which is 12 rows, 1 row of increases, 1 row of just plain knitting. And I am on row 14 out of those, so 12 times 2 is 24, so I've got about 10 more rows to go before I'm done with my increases, and then I just knit until I get to the point where I put the flowers and all on. Not a whole lot to say about it, because it's just going swimmingly. I'll show you again the yarn where I blocked it versus not blocking, and you can see how much it's bloomed out, how beautiful it is. I wish y'all could feel this. It's so soft, and it's got such a halo to it. And then down here, they call this a greasy cone for a reason, and it feels rough and a little greasy. But when you block it, as you can see, that all comes out, and it just makes this beautiful fabric. Now, I have to correct myself too. Last week, I had problems with, I apparently cannot tell colors, I cannot read, I cannot name the colors right. This yarn, which I kept calling Unagi Purl, and then last week I said it was Ungi Purl. Well, I'm wrong, both counts. I got the cone right here so that I can look at it and I can tell you exactly what it is named. Let me get this wrapped around here, because if not, I will string it all over the house. But it is Ugi Purl, U-G-I-E So I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. There is no N in it, so I don't know where I got the N. Don't know where I got the A, but it is U-G-I-E, Oogie Purl. And I told y'all last week I bought the 850 gram cone. Look at how much yarn this is. And you can see I have enough off of here that it might be enough, if I can hold on to it, it might actually be enough to do the entire sweater that I'm knitting with just this, because this is not quite 200 grams, I don't think. It's a bit of yardage. And I've still got all of this left. So a lot of this color is in my future. All right, so I am making it with the JC Rennie. And I'm also going to pair that with a couple of cones of Holst Garn, super soft, that are 2 shades of pink. There's like a magenta and then a brighter pink. Those are going to be my flowers. And then for the bees, I bought a little mini skein of yellow from Letha last week, and I'll do the little bees and little duplicate stitch, which are just so incredibly cute. They're adorable. Cannot wait to get them on there. And then for the stems, I'll use a green. I've got a couple of cones of green. I've got some green in one of my test knits that I will have plenty left over, I'm sure. And all of them are fingering, so they will all fit right in. I can just use them for the stems. All right, so going swimmingly. No problems. Second one, problems. And I will be honest, this pattern to me, it is a little confusing. I think part of it may be a language thing. The designer is German. So part of it may be language. Part of it may just be that they're more intuitive knitters than we are. And I have to be honest, I have been like, you know what? I need to become a more intuitive knitter. I think I've gotten spoiled as an American and somebody who gets these patterns that are so well written that they tell me every single step that I need to take. I have knitted the other type that assumes that you know things. I usually have to rip them out and start over, and which I've had to do with this one. But last week, I shared with y'all that I had to really rip it back and rip the whole thing out and start over. Well, I've made some significant progress because I told you I thought I would get it joined in the round, and I have, and that was one of my goals last week, was to get this joined in the round. So I have absolutely beautiful and stunning. I cannot wait to wear this. It is a little deeper red than what's showing up on the screen, but as you can see, it's just this beautiful pattern. It's really, really pretty. Well, here you join, right? You knit the back, knit away, and then you, because it's a drop shoulder, you pick up your sleeves, or not your sleeves, your shoulders. You pick up your shoulders. Well, I'm going to read, and I'll put a little picture up here of the little schematic. It gives me a little schematic, and it says, with a 3.5 millimeter circular needle of 60 centimeters, pick up 41 stitches using the shorter end of your yarn along the left shoulder. I get that part because that way you're just going to slide your stitches back over. And it says this is along the left shoulder slope starting at the collar. It says the back panel lays wrong side up on your lap, and this defines the left shoulder as it would lay on your left shoulder. So I have it laying in my lap. It did not tell me to turn the edge up to where that the right side was facing me before I picked it up. Yeah, probably should have just clued in because you pick up on the right side. But this is a reversible sweater. So I'm like, okay, are we turning the wrong side into the right side? Then we'll see. And so I posted, I was like, am I supposed to have a ridge? Because anytime you pick up stitches, you get a little ridge. Am I supposed to have a ridge on the right side? And she's like, can you post a picture? What are you talking about? So I took a picture, I posted it, and she posted a picture and said, here's my pickup. She did not have any kind of ridge. And she said something about that you're supposed to turn up the edge. And I was like, oh, that's the information I'm missing. Of course, that was where I should have just been smart enough to say, you pick up on the right side. But I am so used to just following instructions. And I also, when I go into test knits, I try to just follow the instructions so that I can say, did this instruction make sense to me or not? I didn't flip it up. Once she told me that, I flipped it up. No problem picking up the other side. As you can see, I do not have ridges on the right side row, and I have just knitted happily along. The only other thing I found, and this is one of those things, this is why you test knit, is she said to knit until you you know, you finish this row and it was this many centimeters from the back row edge, or the back panel edge, measuring on the back panel edge. What she meant was the front panel edge, because it was the front panel. But like I said, I've gotten it joined in the round. I knitted a few stitches past the join, or a few rows past the join, because I wanted to be able to try it on, because you don't cast on any stitches under the sleeve either, which I've done that before, but usually you cast on at least a few stitches, and this time you did not. So I wanted to make sure that it actually was going to fit right, and so I knitted a few below so that I could try it on, and I tried it on and it fits beautifully. I'm really excited about how this is going to fit. My other one fits well as well. At first I thought it was going to be too big, but as I'm going down, it's fitting very, very well. So I've got two beautifully fitting sweaters. This one, knock on wood, and I'm going to knock on this desk right next to me because it is wooden. Knock on wood that I am not going to have any more problems, and then I am going to be able to just knit away and get this knitted, get the body done, and then start on the sleeves. All right. We shall see. And I am knitting this out of Sandus garn, alpaca silk. This is a discontinued color. It is red, and it is a discontinued color, but I had this in my stash, and I paired it with a cone of mohair that I had from Woolly Yarn. So I'm holding those together and just knitting away. And I did use that little ball. I told you last week how bad it was, and that my friend Shauna, you know, wound the little ball for me. I used that little ball for almost the entire front. And I did have to add another ball to it, just right down around here, right before I had to join in the round. So I have used that up, and I've got two partial balls, or actually no, I've used one partial ball. I've got one partial ball, and then I've got, I think, 4 more. It should be plenty. I'm hoping to get this done. We'll see. I grabbed some from somebody's stash that had this discontinued color, just to be on the safe side, so I will have plenty. I'm just really hoping I can get it done with what I had in my stash, because then that gives me the other to make something else, because this really is a stunning yarn. All right, so 2 test knits. You may be asking, well, what about the third? Because you said you had 3. I do in fact have 3. I still haven't started the third one, and that is because I don't have the yarn yet. I asked Letha, and it's not going to be here until, I think it was supposed to get in yesterday. And this is Michelle's sweater that I'm going to make, and she is going to buy the yarn. So we are meeting Saturday, which will be the day that you watch this, if you watch it the day it's released. We're meeting Saturday morning to go to the yarn festival. There's a Northwest Arkansas yarn festival, and we're going to go around there and then head up to the yarn shop. So instead of me purchasing the yarn and then having her send me the money, I'm just going to let her purchase the yarn. And then I will have it Saturday, so I'll try to get that cast on this weekend. We'll see though, because I have some other goals as well, and I'll cover all of the goals for my knitting this week at the end. So that's what's going to happen with that one. I don't have it started yet. It is the Woody Pullover, and I will put that up there. I did not tell y'all the Arrayn. I didn't tell y'all anything about this sweater, did I? Other than it really fought me, and it kind of won, because I did have to rip the whole front out again, but I persevered and won overall. But this is the Arrayn sweater by A Purl Can Dream. All right. And then the Woody Pullover, and I'll put a picture up here, is by Lucian Crafts, I think is the name of the designer, and I haven't started it yet, but hopefully I'll get it started this weekend. All right, so that covers my test knits. So making pretty good progress. I'll add the third one into the mix. Now I'm going to move on to my knit-alongs. I have a knit-along at the shop, and I am happy to say that I met my goal on this as well, because I got the body finished. And this is finished and blocked. I blocked it before I started the sleeves. Haven't started the sleeves yet. I love this sweater. It is, oh my gosh, it fits so incredibly well. I kept trying it on, and this is the I'm going to try to say it. Heimathafen. It's the Isabell Kraemer sweater. And it is knitted out of Pure Ghent, or 10 Pure Ghent, not Pure Ghent, 10 Pure Ghent by Sandus Garn. And it is rainforest and white. And I kept trying it on, and it was a little bit tighter than what I wanted it to be. But after blocking, it just fits so beautifully, and I cannot wait to get the sleeves on. And I'm kind of hoping I'll get it finished this week. We'll see. I am going to get the sleeves picked up and start those this week for sure. But yeah, the body, done. Check. So this is going quite well. And I've shared with y'all that multiple people are doing it at the shop. Letha has done 2 shades of purple. It's a dark purple and a light purple. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. I have told y'all this will be the 3rd time I've talked about Dana's sweater, and I have gotten it wrong 2 times. I told y'all first she was doing shades of brown. Then I told you last week it was purple, dark purple, and gold. It is not, in fact. It is burgundy and a gold color. Again, it looks very royal, but it is burgundy, not purple. So, don't know what's going on there. I have apparently blocked, because Dana always chooses shades of brown, so I just assumed that it was shades of brown, and I was wrong, and it's not purple either. It's burgundy. And then Liddy is doing, I think it's black and white. And then Henrietta just cast on not long ago, and I think she's doing a charcoal and white. And then Ginger's doing blue and white. And I think that's all of us. And so once we get them done, I'll get a picture and I'll put it up here, and you'll get to see my yarn girls, or at least some of them. I'll try to get some pictures too tomorrow night, see if I can get people to let me take pictures, see if we have a big enough crowd to take some pictures, maybe a little video to post next week, and introduce y'all to some of my yarny friends. All right, so knit along for the shop, almost done. My next knit along, and this one fought back as well. This one, frogginess continues. I had this Salty Days by Veronika Lindberg, or Kuto Kavika, or Kika, as she's also known. I had this already in progress, and I had it knitted down to, oh, this is the back. I had it knitted probably to about right here. And Saturday, because Saturday was November the 1st, I said I'm going to cast it on, or not cast it on, but I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to continue it, because that's when the knit along officially kicks off. And I could not figure out where I was. And I wasn't sure which size I was knitting, if I was doing a medium or if I decided to do a large this time. So I decided I would do a large. I wound up ripping the entire thing out and starting over. And so this is where I'm at. I've gotten halfway through the chart. You can see there's some lace here, and then there's this little diamond chart. I've gotten halfway through that. It's a 12 row chart. I've gotten 6 rows done, and then I've got a couple of rows after that, and then I will be ready to put the shoulders on, and I'll pick up the shoulders. So I've made good progress since I had to start it all over. I'm really excited about the amount of progress that I've made. And it is such a beautiful color. This is the Sandus Garn in Ticklina. And this is, I think, Jolly Blue. And it is a discontinued color. Of course, I want to knit all these things in discontinued colors. This is 2 balls. I have 9 total. Now, it is going to be sleeveless. So there is that. I'm not putting sleeves on. But I only have 9 balls. And this is 2. And I'm going to have to break into a 3rd, because this is all I have left of the second one to finish those 6 rows plus a couple more. Maybe I'll eke it out, but I don't think so. So I'm probably going to have to attach a 3rd ball here, knit a little bit with it, and then use the, hopefully not use more than another 2.5 or so to get the front done. I may be playing yarn chicken with this again. I have looked on Ravelry. I have found somebody who has a stash that is for sale, and there's like 6 of them. I've reached out to them to see if they would sell them to me. I haven't heard anything back yet. I've also found somewhere online that still has some of this in stock that I could order from, and I know they have at least 6 or 7 because that's how many I put in the cart to see it. I've tried originally doing like 10 or 11 and it said, no, we don't have enough for that. So I backed it off and I was able to get 6 in there before I stopped adding. Because honestly, I'm not going to order anything unless it's the stash, and I will probably buy that. But if I'm having to order from a yarn shop, I'm not ordering anything until I see how many I think I'm going to need. So maybe cross your fingers for me that I will, in fact, be able to get this done. But this is, actually, it's a little bit less than a week's work. I don't think I cast this on till Sunday. I think Saturday night I was irritated and I didn't do it. So I think I actually cast it on Sunday. So it knits up really, really fast. You use this US 8. And there's my second knit along. My third knit along I've done nothing with. So I'm not even going to show it. But it is the Lily Hammer. And I've done nothing. I need to tink back a few rows and get my pattern all situated and everything. But I've just not had the capacity to do that this week, so I haven't done anything with it. I'm still trying to decide whether I'm gonna do the Lily Hammer or I'm gonna pivot and do the Marius sweater. Only one person reached out to me and said what they thought I should do, so I asked last week if y'all would let me know what you thought. Nobody has yet, so we'll see. I know which way I'm leaning. I was leaning one way. I think I'm leaning another way now, but we'll see what I decide to do. I'm gonna probably work on it a little bit this week and see what I think. All right. Now to gift knits. I've shared with you, I've got the 3 little ones I'm knitting for. Last week, last week I didn't have a goal for the salty days just because I didn't think about it. If I'd had a goal, it would have been, well, if I'd had a goal, probably would have been to finish the back and possibly the front, maybe have it joined in the round, not thinking I was going to have to rip it all out. So knowing hindsight, right, that I had to rip it all out, my goal would have been to finish the entire back panel. I didn't get that done, but I didn't set that goal for myself either. But that did remind me, one of the reasons I didn't push myself harder to get this done, aside from the fact that, good gosh, this thing has been kicking my butt. I have tinked back over and over and over because I've gotten off on this chart. And so I finally went, Melissa, you tell people to do this all the time and then you didn't do it. What I do is, I've shared with y'all this about color work, but I also do it with any kind of chart where you've got to repeat. And I've got that, this other sweater has it too. You can see my stitch markers. But what I do is, there's always something that you do at the beginning of a chart, or not always, but usually there's something you do at the beginning and then there's a pattern to repeat. So what I do is I use, and then there's something at the end. I use a different color stitch marker to indicate this is something different than the repeat. And then I have one color, so I color code my markers. I have a color for all of the repeats, and then that same other color for an indication that, hey, this is the end and you need to do something different. So I wanted to share that with y'all because, guys, I just think that this is so incredibly important to put your stitch markers in, because you can tell immediately, like as soon as I tried to do something, I'm like, oh, I don't have enough stitches there. Oh, well, that's because a couple of rows down, I forgot to do the yarn over. Well, I can quickly fix that. That's a really easy fix. But I knew immediately that I had missed it because I only had 7 stitches here whenever I counted them instead of 8. So I was able to just fix that and go on. Stitch markers are your friend. And if you're like me, you have 1,000 of them and you can't ever find all of them, but you have a ton of them. And when you move your furniture, you find them all over the place. All right. Funniest story I ever, or not the funniest story, the funniest thing that ever happened to me with stitch markers, and I don't think I've shared it on the channel. I've shared it at the yarn shop a few times. So when I lived in Boston the first time, I rented all of the furniture in my house, or my apartment. And so when I got ready to move, of course, I had to contact them. They came out. They picked up the furniture. Well, I had to go back, and I'd had to return my laptop at work. So my best friend, Michelle, she was at the apartment. She stayed there. She let them in. They got the furniture, and they left. So I come back. I pull up, I park, I go in, and it was a secured building. So you have to go into one door so that you can get into Buzz. And then there's a locked door there. Well, as I entered that little entryway, well, first on the sidewalk, sorry, let me back up. I'm coming up the sidewalk, and I look down, and I see a colored stitch marker. So I pick it up. I think, oh, interesting. So then I get into that little entryway area between the two doors. There's another stitch marker. Okay, pick it up. At this point, I'm kind of cluing into maybe what happened. I go inside. There's a stitch marker right outside the elevator. So I decide I'm going to take the elevator, even though it's only up one flight. Because at this point, I'm thinking, I bet when they moved my chair, there were stitch markers in it. So the elevator door opens. There's a stitch marker in the elevator. I pick it up. I go upstairs, and it is like Hansel and Gretel and the breadcrumbs, because there are stitch markers all the way down the hall to my front door. I mean, there's not a ton of them, but there's, you know, one along, so I pick up all my little stitch markers as I go. And I had to laugh because there was a recliner that, you know, I sat in and I knitted in, and you drop stitch markers, and so they had gotten all down in there and had not fallen out. Although there were some in my floor as well, but they hadn't all fallen out, so when they were carrying it out, they were just dropping stitch markers all along. It was like my little, you know, oh, look, I can follow these all the way home. So that was pretty funny. But that's my saga with the stitch markers, or my funny story about the stitch markers. All right, so moving along to gift knits. I've shared with you that up there in New England, in Boston, there's 3 little ones that are the little ones of a friend of mine. And I've knitted, I've showed you one of the dresses is complete and the t-shirt that's complete. And now I've got Azalea's dress, and I got one of the sleeves done last week. My goal last week was to get this sleeve done. I did meet it. So I'm very excited. I met all my knitting goals. And so I got one sleeve done. I'm going to pick up and do this other sleeve, and then I will do the body. And this is the Sunday dress by PetiteKnit, and the yarn is the Arrayn Haskell Cotton Glisten, and this is the color Glistening, and it is just really pretty. And I keep trying to show y'all, and it just does not show up on this camera. Let's see if I can get an angle where you can see. It is just, it's sparkly yarn, and it's gonna be so pretty. There we go. There we go. That's like princess yarn, and I think the girls are just gonna really, really love it. You can check one of my other videos. I think it's 2 episodes back where I tell the story about the yarn, because I would never have knitted with this, but the girls just loved it. So here is that. We got one sleeve done. Got to get the other sleeve done, and then the body. And then I've got one more little one that's on the way that I'm going to make a dress for, and a blanket. So I've got to get those done. And then I did decide that this week the juice was worth the squeeze in order to bring these 2 cones right here in here with me. I'm going to put them back down in the floor so they don't fall off and get all tangled. But I decided I'd bring them in here to show y'all where I'm at on my brother's sweater. I have to get it all untangled because it was tangled up. So I have been knitting the Handsome Sweater by PetiteKnit for my brother. And you can see I've gotten quite a bit done. So this is not quite halfway, because including the ribbing, I think it's 19 inches or something that it's going to be the length, and I've got almost 8. So not quite halfway, but getting close. And this is made out of, those 2 cones were Holst Tides, which is their woolen silk, and this is the color Nightshade. And it will bloom as well. It also has spinning oil in it, in the cones. Actually, they don't even scour their stuff at all. So even if you buy the balls, it's still got spinning oil in it. But it just blooms up and it fills in. And I am holding this double. Now, I did do something this week that I kept forgetting. And I don't know why. I love progress keepers, because you can see how much you knit. And when I get to the point where I'm just knitting around, I do put them in there so I can keep track and see that I am actually making progress. I didn't remember to put this in until late this week. So this is probably only maybe a 1/2 inch, probably not even that much. But I've knitted a little bit more than that. But I'm going to use this, and I'm going to set myself a goal weekly on how much to knit. And I'll use this progress keeper to keep track of that. So this is the Handsome Sweater by PetiteKnit, and this will be my brother's Christmas gift, or at least one of them. So he will be able to wear this in January and February when it's cold out, really cold out, because he's not much of a sweater wearer, but he's like me, he doesn't wear a coat, so a sweater makes sense. All right, and that is it. That is what I've been working on this week. Don't have anything else to show other than I do have a little bit of yarn, but I'm going to tell y'all now what my weekly goals are going to be, because I want to start telling y'all that so I hold myself accountable. If I tell somebody what my goals are, I will usually try to get them done. So my first goal will be on the Fosteriana. I would like to get the bust increases done and knit. I would love to be able to knit down to where I'm ready to start the color work. I'm not positive I'll be able to do that because it is a fingering weight yarn. It is a rather thin yarn, and it will take a lot of knitting to get there. I'd be happy if I were even halfway there. So I'm wanting to get the bust increases done and knit, let's say, at least 3 inches down the body. Then next, I would really like to finish the body of the Arrayn sweater and have that ready for sleeves next week. I'm not positive that that's a realistic goal, but I'm going to put it out there that that's what I would like to have happen. I would also like to at least cast on the Woody sweater. I don't know that I will get very much done, but I would like to at least cast it on and start knitting on it. I would love to get this sweater done and get both of these sleeves done. I will be happy if I get one sleeve done. But boy, I would love it if I could wear this next week as a finished object. I would like to get the other sleeve done on the Sunday sweater. I would like to have the Salty Days joined in the round at the very least. I would like to have at least another 2 to 3 inches on my brother's sweater. And I would like to take that last KAL, the Lily Hammer, and tink it back and get it set right for the pattern and continue so that I can decide if I want to continue with that or if I want to pivot. So those are my goals this week. Let me know if you think that I'm absolutely insane and that's too much, or if you think I can actually get it done. All right. And then, like I said, I've got a little Yarny Goodness. I shared with y'all last week that Letha was getting this yarn in for me, and I thought I'd have it, and I do. I have the entire pack. I had to buy an entire pack for it. It costs for 11 balls for my size, but I never use all of the yarn that they say because I'm short. So I don't need it as long, and my sleeves don't need to be as long. Guys, I'm barely over 5 feet tall, so you're not gonna, I don't need things as long. So I don't use as much yarn. And I also think that designers do estimate on the high side so that you have enough yarn to swatch without having to play yarn chicken. So 10 balls will be fine, although I do actually have 11 balls because I bought 10 from Letha, and I have one that I bought to see the color. So I guess I'm covered. I've got 11 balls. And then she can't get the ash yet, the ash melange, which is funny because they call it ash if you actually look at the Sandus Garn website, but on Mother Knitter it's listed as light gray or something like that, gray heather or something. But anyway, I'm waiting on that. It's been out of stock for a while, but I'm not in a hurry. I'm not casting this on anytime soon. But this is all the yarn I bought this week. This was it. Next week, different story. Because, oh my Lord, Knit Picks had a sale. Couldn't resist. I wanted to try some palette yarn. It was $2 a ball. I tried some. I wanted to try some Wonder Fluff. It was $4. So I got me some stuff to try. And then, what else? Who else had a sale? Oh, Hobie had a sale. And so I bought a little bit of yarn from them too. And of course, Garntopia's birthday sale is coming up. It's on the 10th. And then on Black Friday, of course, I'm just going to lose my mind and spend all my money. But one thing I will not be doing, I thought on Black Friday I was going to have a surgical procedure done. I'm not, because they called me and the surgery center's not going to be open. So it's not anything big. It's just an injection in my neck. But kudos to the doctor because they fit me in. And so on Tuesday, on November the 11th, when I am supposed to be off work and sleeping in late because it is a bank holiday, and so I'm already taking a hit on the pay because I'm a contractor, they fit me in, but I have to be at the surgery center at 5:45 in the morning. I do not love that. So just think about me. I was all excited about being able to sleep in, and that is just not going to happen. So if you're a prayer, say a little prayer that it'll go well. I know it will. I had this injection done last year, and it really, really helped. And I just know my neck has started hurting again, and have been having some numbness down my arm, which is a symptom of I've got some, I don't remember what he called it, but anyway, there's something structurally wrong with my neck that compresses things, and it can cause numbness. So doing a injection in my neck takes care of that. And I am putting off having neck surgery for as long as I possibly humanly can, because I do not want that done, even though according to them it is bad enough that it would be reasonable to send me to a neurologist to talk about surgery. I ain't doing that until it is absolutely necessary, until I get to the point where I cannot knit because my hands are numb, or my hand, it would be my left hand. At that point, I would have neck surgery. Till then, nope. Go get an injection every year. I'm good. If I have to have a nerve burned, I'm good. We will do it. But anyway, like I said, if you're a prayer, just say a little prayer that everything goes well. And guys, again, I ramble at the end because I love spending this time with y'all, even though I know I can't see y'all, but I know y'all are out there. So thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next week. Editing Melissa here, because I forgot one thing, which was, you may have noticed that I tried something different today. I just got right into it. I didn't give my standard little intro, and I didn't put up my little, Melissa Knits for Fun thingy, because honestly, that is the part of the podcast that I always felt like I was kind of putting on a show, and I didn't feel like myself. So I decided I would just get rid of it, because analytics shows that I'm losing people in those first 30 seconds, that people are swiping away. They may be swiping away because they don't like me, but it may be because they can sense that that's the part that I don't feel like that I'm really me, that I'm basically just, putting on a little show. So let me know what you thought, if you liked this better with me just starting right in and talking to you. I'll catch you later.